Warning, the following is a completely fabricated story by Al Jazeera.
Libyan is relieved to be back home in Somalia. 3 years ago, he tried to migrate to Europe, but he never made it. Instead, he was kidnapped by smugglers in Libya and sold as a slave.
Okay, now listen carefully.
Like an animal, I was sold 4 times in open markets in Libya. The last time I was sold for $10,000.
What? That's not what I heard as a native Somali speaker. Listen again, this is what he said. He said, "Dhallinyaro saaxiibaday." He was mid-sentence. Dhallinyaro saaxiibaday means my friends or my young friends in Somali. So why is Al Jazeera lying? So I decided to see where this story originates. Through reverse image search, I found a few articles written about this story. First one we're going to look at is Voice of America, a news program. They wrote an article about this, so I read through it. Here's a possible sentence he was saying. Several of my friends were killed during the conflict. His name was Abdikarim Muhammad Umar. In fact, his name appears 5 times in the article. So I went through everything he said. Umar said he lost several of his friends during the journey. At this point, he said they fought with Eritrean migrants. I was among 150 migrants packed into a truck by smugglers from Sudan. 100 Eritreans, 50 Somalis. They mercilessly forced us into the truck that fit only 30 people. Some of the Somali migrants were thrown out of the truck into the desert. Then we fought with Eritreans for survival. Several of my friends were killed during the conflict, Umar said. Third time he spoke. Umar said that once he reached Libya, he was filled with painful memories he could not forget. He and other migrants were taken to Kufra detention center in southern Libya. To taste the pain and convince our parents to pay, the smuggler woke us up with a beating early in the morning and sent us to silence or sleep at night with a beating, Omar said. Omar said that he was lucky to escape from the Kufra detention center months ago, that he has since lived in Tripoli in constant fear and hiding. And that was all that Omar said. No mention of being enslaved or being sold, or the amount 10,000, is also corroborated by another news outlet. No mention of the word animal anywhere. I've also checked with this article. The information translated in the video is completely absent. And I found the original video that Al Jazeera pirated. Here's the real story.
Detention centers. Many of my friends have died there. My close friend died from internal bleeding because he couldn't handle the beating.
The men were interviewed upon arrival in Somalia by the Somali news. It appears Al Jazeera was not involved and did not conduct this interview. In fact, there was nobody named Liban. It was a totally made-up name.
Libyan is relieved to be back home.
The BBC had also covered this. So what's going on? Basically, it's like the detention center in the Mexican border.
They do videos in order then to ask money to the families and to the diaspora abroad.
Once the bribe or bail is made, they are released. Many people commented about the translation and that this was not enslavement. However, people held to pay ransom and imprisoned. I also wrote a letter to Al Jazeera Qatar, but the video remains up. This was a completely fake story with a completely fake translation, done with deliberation, as the translator spoke the same time as the man. This was a deceitful, manipulative trick. Although Libya is enslaving people, such as Ethiopians, Nigerians, and plenty of other Africans. However, there are no stories of Somalis being enslaved, either torture or forced marriages.
When you are working the work, I'm doing your work, they will be maltreating us.
Please help raise awareness of the slavery in Libya. As history shows, circumstances change, and migration has shaped the world. Yet the actions of Libya will remain unforgettable. Important to note, ethnic Somali, the original local population, were never enslaved at any point in history, as we had multiple powerful back-to-back empires. With a total duration of over 10,000 years.
So then what went wrong?
These people got consumed into the Roman Empire. It's important to note that this includes overlapping empires. And yes, Punt was a Somali civilization in Somalia. It is now widely accepted, as archaeologists have finally dug up the ancient city, and the ethnic Somali people were never enslaved. And this fake Al Jazeera video creates a false documentation of history.